Attention gamers. I think I speak for everyone when I say I love a good hooker, but most people don't realize is that this particular one just became the best top laner in the game. You see, his kit was already packed with more CCs than a spam email, which qualifies him as a recipient of gank donors regardless of blood type, because he can just hook the enemy. Because he can just flay the enemy top and keep them sitting still during their own slaughter, which will have your junglers visiting more often and sometimes asking for you to have their children. But because Riot's balanced team is a bunch of incubated cockwaffles, the newest version of AD items makes him a fat tit to be suckled on. Not only do they make him a split-pushing fast-attacking menace to the point where he looks like he's working out some internal demons when he's pushing. But if you big brain math fuck this equation, you'll see that a charged up flay with this combination of naughty and nice toys, you'll find that one auto attack does more than 2000 damage from mixed sources. This means when you grab a pocket-sized astronaut he turns gold and you manage to cuck up your entire combo, no one will remember after seeing how much your slaps do. Then even when Bobby Flay isn't fully done cooking up another enhanced auto, you will still slap hard before reminding them that you are more versatile than a blow-up doll at a whorehouse, because you still have mad CC to complement these slaps. Anytime your butt buddies are in trouble, you enter in and let them know that Lantern Larry is bringing the smacks. This video is sponsored by your fat mom. Look at the gelatinous diabetic circle. I'd fill that jelly donut if you know what I'm saying. Now back to the action. Okay, so game 1 in this video will show how smooth this pick has been going in most of my games. I have the Predator rune and I'm against the butch cut chick with the store defective sword. Enter the time in the game where both junglers clear their camps, have no idea what the fuck else to do, and just cluelessly float up to the top like a buoy without a brain. This means a gangbang is inevitable as they kick things off by flashing us, but it's too much too fast. I like some foreplay, so I push the hoppy one away and then ask her to leave. At this point I need to get some distance to let out a wet one before lending a match and whipping out the popcorn, ready to share a lantern if shit starts getting too real. Then I figure I roam mid, see if Billie Eilish wants to touch my boner, so I scout out a perfect little spot behind the tree line and then wait to make my move. A good player would have wondered why thresh souls are appearing in her lane, but this cock goblin was so surprised to see a skeleton you'd think it was a haunted hay ride at the local pumpkin patch. At this point I may only have the individual pieces of a static Shiv instead of the whole thing, as if it attempted to go visit the Titanic, but my charged autos were already starting to feel like an infected herpy which had them running like little bitches. But I'm still rocking the hooks and the fences, that in this case are serving as a decoration to the double that my doe of a jungler just bought on my tab. Anyways, both mid laners are having a contest called who can be a more free kill for the enemy team, and while Jace was the front runner, that little electric boogers for shampoo slut makes quite a comeback. But here's the thing, in this elo you can give your teammates the world, like you've all witnessed this Lilia Kappa Hitler's KDA quality early game, yet you trust her to use all that funding to not fuck up a simple conversation with Hoppy Zelda, yet she is just like a deer in the headlights. So I came and made sure there was enough CC to supply a bowl of alphabet soup and then deliver a fat auto only for her to get the credit once again. That said, it's hard to complain when you see what Riot handed the other team and called a jungler this guy thinks in 360p, and I personally was appreciative of his presence. Anyways, I may have been roaming away from my assigned home more than a rebellious crackpipe whore high schooler with daddy issues, but I still have that fat solo laner level diff and I use it to donate a hook like I'm a retired fisherman or some shit. But eventually I say screw the abilities and just start whacking hoes. This continues as we chase Clash Day Vagar down until I surprise the world and myself by not accidentally attacking the tower instead of the enemy champ like I seem to have a fetish for. But 17 minutes into the game with 2 items and some pumped up kicks, you can run down even bruisers to politely ask them where all their health went. Typically in solo queue, when you are playing a champ like Thresh, you hook a little sperm guzzler only to be useless while your teammates trip over their own swollen feet, but in this case you can just kill the kids yourself. So yeah, whichever party you choose to attend at this point in the game will result in your own name getting announced as if Barney Stinson is telling an epic story. And that's how a lot of my games with this pick have been going. But I wanted to show a second one that wasn't as much of a depression simulator for the enemy team to demonstrate how you will still be a late game monster with this pick. This one I was against Frozen Legolas himself, so I introduce him to my green glowing noose in what looks like an easy first blood, but Bubble Boy packed a barrier for lunch, so the shit fest is a lot closer and results in a trade instead. But not to fear, J3's son is here, and while he may have been dressed to sit on a beach, he'd rather shit on a bitch as I whiff a Q into Timbuktu, and then we keep the archer at bay while we make him crawl through our legs and play washing machine till he dies. And I told you, when you play a support up top, you are like a jungler magnet, as they know you can hand deliver them dinners like you are Uber Eats but for dead bitches. And while this does occasionally turn into a bit much for your introverted uncharged social battery to handle, you will still have opportunities to be all Varus meet Tower Varus, and if you are lucky the boys will be in town to handle man bear pig for you. That said, this Varus is clearly learning from his mistakes as much as a rebellious toddler with Alzheimer's, so he goes all Meghan Markle, making himself the victim of yet another gank as I whip out all the tricks to ensure that my tower will get his nut for being such a good boy. I headbot because word on the street there's a chubby chode fuzzy bumblebee thinking the rift is a safe place for his kind, and I want to be the one that shows him otherwise. Then we head over to their team's mitosizing boulders because man bear pig is hanging out there, and even with a bit of beef to him, one of my autos kills him from half health. Drag is up for the taking, and I just knew there would be a sloppy 9-man circle jerk taking place right after. That is a heterosexual skeleton I wanted no part of, so I opt into wearing my split push pants to work today instead by breaching their base all alone. Side note, when you land a 6 sexually arousing hook over the wall, I would recommend from personal experience that you don't ride that particular wave if you can just hit a reach around flay instead. That said, you could put a pic of Sky Breeze floppy tits in the bottom right corner of this Varus's screen and he still wouldn't look at his map, so we orchestrate a tabletop and then let him throw his I'm fucked tantrum by a trophy before I whack him once more for the kill. I'm now nearing full build, which takes us to the point in the intro where I go noose to caboose with knee-nibbling Neil Armstrong, who thinks he outplayed my lack of accuracy, but a slap in the short dick sends him packing. And then you know how the rest of this fight went. And then I had a celebratory rager on their inhibitor, which is where I want to ask you to subscribe if you haven't, as YouTube seems to be on a tirade against my current subs, thinking they are bots and removing them, which is bullshit, so please check yours. Anyways, I found that I was always whipping my little yo-yo lamp into action to shield some shitters, so I built Essence Reaver to cop a sheen off that shiz as we took down the Al Gore conspiracy, and then we chased the Martian midget right after for the double. We secure a Drake, which would be great and all until you consider the fact that their buzzing bumblefuck and his protective porn-stashed uncle are vandalizing our village, so I appropriately murder a minion to kill time while waiting for cavalry to arrive. And then I make goddamn sure that thing never turns into a butterfly while trying to be smooth and ride a Q away from his little suicide carcass before putting Braum on the bitch bench right next to him after. Anyways, my job now boiled down to desk popping hooks into hoodlums and then coming in with slaps heard around the world on little these shits playing Vagar. I may not have been landing hooks, but it still resulted in kids looking like they pissed on themselves just waiting to wake up and be chain banged into oblivion. My teammates were demonstrating why both of their divorced parents are constantly disappointed in them, but luckily I was around to make it worth. The pattern continued where the fuck balonies were constantly like I'm him, but in reality they were just test tube babies barely scraping by until their next shift working the Dairy Queen drive-through window, so I would clean up, and in the end, even with a total fuckfest early game, this pick proved to be a late game menace and one of the more fun off meta picks I've run into in a while. Please sub, this graph is sad. Rav out.